try and organise something which I've given the name of the Malvern Weekender, which consists of a couple of sunrise and a couple of sunset shoots of the Malvern Hills. Now obviously because of 2020 we can't do that this year, so what I thought I would do is still do it and still show you a little bit of the Malvern Hills this weekend, but I'm going to bring in a special guest. You probably already know who this is. Who could it be? Yeah. And someone had an idea to make it competitive, didn't they? So what we thought we'd do to make it a level playing field is we've both got our 35mm lenses on our cameras and our full frame cameras, and we're going to take a photo. We're going to select a photo from each shoot, and we're going to put together a triptych or some sort of collage of the photographs that we chose, and we're going to put it onto Instagram and Facebook and find out which is the best anonymously.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out if a professional can beat his wife to be. Now what would you say really quickly your photographic experience is? Would you call yourself a professional?
I mean, I've never ever done professional work without you. I've always been like the assistant, so I'm like a professional assistant photographer.
Okay.
I'm nowhere near a professional photographer because I don't do this on my own.
Laura's picked up an A7 III earlier this year, and I said to her the best way to learn photography is to just stick with one lens for a long time. So she's got the 35mm lens 1.4 Samyang, and as I said, to make it level I've stuck my Canon 1.4 35 on as well.
No fancy tricks though.
No fancy tricks, no tripods, no long exposures.
No panoramas.
But the rules are we have to stick to one area. Today we're at North Hill.
You can do any settings you want on the camera.
Yeah, photograph people, photograph wildlife, photograph the weather.
Basically whatever you want.
So let's
try and be the best.
Yeah, so the best group of photos wins. So let's see if we can, or you can fool the public into thinking that your photos are mine. Maybe I need to fool
everyone just knows that I'm better than you anyway.
Okay, enough. Let's. I'm gonna push you over. Right, let's carry on.
So Andy's just said the challenge has started, and he's gone. I'm left on my own to see what I can do, and I'm not gonna lie. At the moment, let's watch it. I don't want him to know what I'm gonna do. At the moment, I ain't got a freaking clue what I'm gonna take a photo of because there's just no view at the moment. It's completely foggy. To be fair, the sun hasn't risen yet, so I'm hoping that as soon as the sun comes out, it'll like wash a bit of this away. Like not completely, because I really do like that kind of hazy, pastel-y photo. But at the moment, I don't even know where I am. I can't get my bearings. I don't know what hill is what. So yeah. Let's do it. I don't know. Let's see what I can get. I'm changing location slightly. I'm not getting anything that I love, but I'm hoping there's still time. The sun still hasn't come out. It's starting to show its face, but it's just a little bit of a washout at the moment, and there's nothing that I want to focus on that I like. So who knows what I'm gonna get. Come on, son.
In these foggy conditions without a tripod and when you're on the go, it's actually quite tricky to get a usable shot, because especially if you're working at fast shutter speeds and shallow depth of fields, which is what I'm doing, it's difficult to nail the focus because the camera is trying to focus on the fog and it's got no depth perception really. So it's quite tricky to get a shot. But I'm at one of my favourite points of North Hill. The sun is rising just over this rock here, and if I can get it, if I can frame it up, the sun keeps dipping in and out of this fog, and it keeps showing the sun, the bright orange sun. So if I can get that, I think that will look really, really nice. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go a bit higher, because I've got a feeling up there the visibility is going to be better, and hopefully we'll be out of the fog even more. So might be a huge gamble, might be completely pointless exercise, but I've got to win. And if there's one thing you didn't know about me, I'm quite competitive and I don't like losing. Especially to Laura.
I think I'm just going to wait here for a bit. The sun's gone again.
I'm really struggling. So you know that view I wanted to capture from up here? Oh, this is what it looks like. The beacon, the Worcestershire Beacon should be there. The highest point of the wall of the Malvern Hills. But I can't see anything. I can't even really do a self-portrait because I've got nothing to stand the camera up on. I've got nothing to shoot, so I've just got to wait. I've resorted to photographing trees in the mist. Probably the most cliche thing that I could do today. But I don't think I'm going to get anything better. So I think I'm going to find Laura and call it a day. And hope that she hasn't got anything better than me. Which she very well may have. Speaking of shapes in the mist, who is this?
Try calling you.
How's you going?
It's hard.
Difficult.
Just as I thought when the sun was about to come out and like wash the top layer away, this happens.
I know. Really tricky to get something today, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Struggled?
I struggle. I got stuff. I'll obviously look at it when I'm editing, what I prefer, which photo I like the best, but not my best work.
Alright, well keep it under your hat.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say a thing.
Maybe she's playing it down. I bet she is.
So in hindsight, maybe I could have actually made more of that photography than I actually did, but again, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And one thing I didn't mention is that we only gave ourselves 45 minutes. To make it fair, that's all we had to get these photographs.
I'm feeling lucky now. Keep rolling, no limits, I keep going. Nothing, no nothing could stop me. I'm feeling lucky now. My moment is happening, I know it all, no doubt, yeah. I'm feeling lucky now. Just another year on Friday night. Ooh, look at me, how could I be so lucky?
Me and Andy actually left each other pretty quickly at the car park because we ended up leaving the house a little bit later than we wanted. So it was a bit of a quick scramble to think of where to go and what photo to take, and I'll be honest, coming out on these, I ain't got a clue. I don't know what I want to take. Andy's probably got more of an idea than me. He's up here all the time taking photos, so I'm just winging it, I'm not gonna lie. I've been to a couple of spots already. The sun is just rising now. I'm hoping that'll be a bit of a wash of colour. But yeah, quite frankly, I'm just going with the flow. I ain't got a clue. We'll see.
So as you can see, the sun's starting to rise now, and it's been quite a generous sunrise. But I still haven't got a shot. I don't know if that's because I arrived too late or made the wrong decision, came up the wrong hill, but I haven't taken anything that I'm really quite that pleased with. I can see Laura the other side of the hills, and I know for a fact that she's going to get a good shot up there. So whether she chooses that to be in the final collage, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm slightly worried. I don't know if I'm going to have produced enough good stuff to win this. But I've got one last shot, and that is at the top of British Camp, looking down towards Worcestershire and Millennium Hill, which is this hill here. And there's a path that leads onto it, a rocky path. And I think that's my only chance to get back in the game. But stop being so negative, be proactive, and let's get some shots. But yeah, definitely feel 1-0 down here, maybe even 2-0 down. It's a sorry state of affairs. Oh God, I'm gonna have to retrain. I'm gonna have to go into cyber. Right now, I'm really wishing it was a 24mm challenge, because I just can't shoot wide enough. The scene that I want to shoot is too wide, and I want to try and include the sun and the path and the hill in the background, but I can't get it all in. I'll show you what I mean by I wish I had a wider lens. So if I just spin you around carefully, here's the path obviously, and that leads to Millennium Hill. You can see some dog walkers in the middle ground taking some photos of their dogs. A dog photo shoot going on, and then we've got the speed of the sun coming up on the left. But what I get with a 35mm lens, if I can just show you the back of the camera, that, I don't know if you can see that, but it's a lot more, cropped in. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is use the wide, use the full aperture value. I'm not at 1.8, I'm about f2.8 or 3.5. I really want to try and throw the foreground out of focus, and as well, by opening up the aperture, I can drink in all that morning sunlight to make it look super nice and warm, which is what I want to do. So I think that's that shot in the bag. I might just get one more shot of the Malverns waking up, just in case, and then I'm done. Okay, I think I've rescued something. I think. I'll wait till I get home and they'll all be out of focus. Not even a joke. That's happened before.
Normally I'm so chilled about whether I get a photo or not. Like, I've come up with Andy before. Obviously I love walking the Malverns and I love taking photos, but I never put any pressure on myself to get a good photo. Like, if I get one, I get one. If I don't, I've been for a nice walk up the hills, do you know what I mean? It's about the fresh air, it's about being up here and just loving it, basically. But I'll tell you what, having the pressure to get a good photo, it's ridiculous. Like, I literally don't even know what to do. I'm really thinking I am not going to win this challenge. But it's okay, because I'm up against a professional photographer, so I'll be alright if I lose. But I mean, I'll laugh if I win, but yeah, the pressure is just
So I was actually quite pleased with the photography that I'd managed to capture this morning. That photograph looking down the path, I think will probably end up making my final photo collage. So that's British Camp done. Tomorrow we're on to the highest point of the Malvern Hills, which is Worcestershire Beacon. Hopefully we can get some light as good as the light we got today. So it's photo session number 3. We're at the Worcestershire Beacon, which you can see over our shoulders, and the light is very rubbish, let's just say that. So a very mixed bag with these 3 photos. Foggy first session. This morning was quite a nice bright sunrise. Today very grey and very overcast, so the light's very flat, so we'll have to wait and see what we can do. The rule is, that we didn't mention before, is that we've given ourselves an hour either side of sunset or sunrise. So sunset today is at 4 o'clock, it's 3:30 now. We've got an hour to get one shot, and the rule is we have to be on the hill that we mentioned for it to count. So there's the beacon. As long as we're on that hill somewhere and we get a shot, it counts. So shall we carry on and get this third one in the bag?
Yeah, I think the other 2 were hard. I feel like this is going to be the hardest.
This could be.
The lighting's awful.
The light is rubbish, so it might have to be mean and moody. Could even be a black and white.
Get creative.
I don't want to give you ideas. Right, let's go.
And I am just making my way up slowly, just seeing if there's anything that catches my eye on the way up. Something I've realised about myself is I'm hugely influenced by light when it comes to photography. Like, if I see some incredible colours or incredible lighting, even if it's not like bright light, just something different, I'm like, I get my camera out straight away. So when there's no lighting and it's really flat and grey, I genuinely just don't know what to photograph. And that's obviously comes from inexperience. I'm not an experienced photographer, I just love taking photos. So yeah, it's really been interesting doing this. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can get something, and it's just all about being creative. And I'm trying to think outside the box, but all I seem to be getting is like, oh, look at that lovely landscape, which I don't want to get because I do that all the time. So anyway, let's see.
Change the battery, that's one thing I could have done without. Losing light by the second. Options are running out. I'm just making excuses, there's always something to shoot. Always. Just gotta find it. From here you can see the spine of the hills with the path leading you through. So far the ones that I've chosen have all got paths in them. So I think it's going to be too obvious if I choose another one with a path one. So I don't know if I can shoot that. I feel glad that I got that one in the bag with the tulip. There was a tulip on the Beacon summit cairn. I don't know if that's, you know, for some sort of remembrance or something. I'm not sure who placed that, but I quite like it. So what I've done is I stopped the camera down to 1.8, 1.6 to give me a really quick shutter speed, and I really wanted to isolate that tulip because it's bright red like my coat, and behind it and all around there's this deep grey, deep blue, so it's got a really nice sort of juxtaposition, really nice colour pop really. So that may well be the one I shoot because you can just about see the North Hill in the distance. So I don't think I'm going to get anything better than that. There's no colour anywhere. There's a big helicopter up there, but I don't think that's much good. So we're celebrating the beauty of the Malverns. I think I'm not going to get any better than what I've just shot. So I'm going to call it a day. 3 out of 3. There's a really lovely bit of colour just coming in over Hay Bluff, which is where the sun's setting obviously, and if this was a 600mm challenge, might have a chance of getting a decent shot, but we don't because the 35mm, it just, you can't see it at all. Because I guess to the naked eye your focal length is somewhere between 50 and 85, I guess, if you think about what you can actually see before you. So 35 is even wider than what you can see, so just looks rubbish on the camera. So yeah, once again making excuses, but I think I managed to get something, so I'm going to call it a day.
Hey.
There she is. How did you find it? That was hard, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was so hard.
Yeah, the hardest one yet.
Like, I just don't understand, right? You've done these Malvern Weekenders for how many years now? And every time you come back with these epic photos, and then you take me, and this is what I get. Sums up 2020, right?
That's 2020. done all our editing. We've actually put our collages together. We've even put them out into the big wide world and they've been judged. We have results, but before we give you them, we're just going to go through some of the photos that we took. So we're going to start with Laura. So I'm going to just flick through these and I'll flash these up on screen as well. So day one, talk us through your thinking.
Well, to be honest, there wasn't much to photograph because it was so foggy. Like, I think that might have been the second time we've ever been out with that much fog. So this one, I liked the composition of the 3 trees.
Yep.
And the low fog. But then when I got it into like editing, there wasn't much to it.
Yeah, it's got like a vintagey feel, but I think the next one that's the one you chose.
So this is the one I chose. This was my favourite. And I guess it was a little bit of a fluke. I mean, it's hard to tell because the fog just kept rolling.
Yeah.
It was so thick that it was actually quite nice to get a moment of, you can see just through it for like a second and just snap it.
You need a bit of look.
Yeah.
Don't you?
I think that's what it was. Like there was a little bit of goldenness, a little bit of, being able to see the hill in the background.
What I like about you, just a little compliment alert. I don't give many compliments to you very often.
You don't.
I actually quite like how you don't overcook your images. You're quite subtle in your editing. Compared to me, I turn my saturation up to about 11.
I guess for me, I like it to look almost exactly how I saw it.
You're a bit of a purist about it.
Because I like, it's more about the story for me rather than the maybe epicness.
Okay, yeah, that's...
Unless it looked epic, then obviously I will make it look epic.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Right, moving on to this one, and you can talk about these next couple in a row.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just was pointing towards the sun. They're similar compositions.
Yeah, and the next one maybe?
Again, it was very similar. I just made it black and white just to see what it looked like, but there just wasn't enough in it for me. There was nothing. I needed something on the rock.
Yeah. I think sometimes when you've got no light, black and white does look quite nice.
Yeah, I thought I'd try one out.
It doesn't always work. That's not like a rule you should follow. But sometimes if there literally is no colour and everything looks blue or grey, then sometimes you feel like you've got no choice.
Yeah.
Especially if you, if you don't want to edit in loads of crazy graduated filters of different colours and stuff. So, yeah, I totally understand why you did that. So, let's just skip to the one you chose. That's the one you chose.
Yeah, this is the one I chose. And I'm a bit of a sucker for a sun.
Sun star.
Sun star, sorry.
Yeah. So, how did you do that? You stopped it down to what, F16 or something?
F16 and then a high ISO.
Yeah, and I can see you obviously focused on this branch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also wanted you to be able to see the view of the hills in the background and the sunrise.
Yeah, I think that's quite nice as well. And as well, part of this challenge is about capturing the beauty of the Malverns, and it's not always grand vistas, so you've got a nice intimate option there.
I wanted something a bit different. I didn't want the same old things. But having said that, I did take this one and this one, which I love for landscape shots, and I'm wondering if maybe
it could have changed the result.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, no, I'm not saying that I think I could have won if I put these in, but I think that splits people. People either like that or they don't like it, whereas most people like a landscape.
I would probably agree with that. I think it's probably harder to connect with an image of trees and light behind them, backlit trees and things like that. But the people that do connect with things like that will put you on a different pedestal, I think. I think with shots like that, you enter into the fine art category.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm still learning, so I wanted to do something a bit more creative and different.
I think you'll win a lot of people's praise for that. I think that's a really... Because I wasn't that brave. I didn't shoot anything intimate or anything like a woodland kind of environment. I just went for 3 blockbuster views. But that's me. So, and then moving on to the last day, the grey day.
I think the last day was the worst of them all.
Yeah.
Considering there was full fog on the first day.
Yeah.
At least it has some sort of prettiness and epicness. But
So what do you look for then when the light is taken away?
well, for me, it was either a subject, something to focus on within the hills, or it was a story. It was like a moment of peace or a moment of tranquility.
See, I like this because I think it's got a cinematic quality. I do actually sympathise with you because the scene that you were capturing was maybe too far away because we were on 35mm lenses. But I really think, if I can zoom in, that this has got an ET quality to it.
Yeah.
You know, with the cyclists on the BMXs going in silhouettes.
And I will admit, he did a wheelie 2 seconds before that and I just missed it.
Oh, okay.
So, but I still liked the shot enough to put it in.
I think it's nice. You've told the story well. You've got showing that the hills are used for recreation and all that, and then you've got a nice path leading up to it and a moody sky. So yeah, it's a good image. And you obviously didn't choose that. You chose that one.
That one. And the reason I chose this one, because a lot of people are probably wondering, why did you make it black and white? But it was a very dull day.
Yeah.
But I loved it. For me, it was more what was going on in my head, which may not come across. So maybe that makes it a bad image. But I liked the idea of it being like, no one was on the hill. You've got this empty bench. It's grey. It's almost like bleak. It's almost quite sad.
Yeah.
And it's almost that idea of, I don't know, thinking back to like the first lockdown when no one could go on the hills.
Isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of sums up 2020. It's very, but that was just a personal thing, and that's not going to come across unless you tell the story of it, I guess. But
yeah,
that's what was going through my head when I picked it.
See, what I think again is interesting about you, and I think the best thing about photography is that you never stop learning. And when I'm working with Laura, who's not relatively inexperienced, but your years of shooting things are less than, say, for example,
a
mine.
lot less than yours.
But what I've learned from you already is that I think your photographic, the way that you look at things is going on the right path, because you're not thinking of the blockbuster images. You're not thinking of trying to wow people with colours and views and stuff. You're literally saying, I like that. I'm going to post and I'm going to photograph what I like.
Well, I guess my thing is I want to share what I like. And if people don't like that, I don't mind that. That is fine. I'd rather share something that means something to me and it splits people's views than share something that everyone loves and wow, that's epic. But I'm like, oh, I didn't really feel something when I took that photo, or I don't like it as much.
So moving on to the last couple. Now, arguably, they're mine. Arguably these two, more, you know.
Yeah, I mean, again, there wasn't much like
epic.
that is literally all the sunset we got.
Yep.
But then again, maybe that shows off.
We do have some wonderful expansive views at the Malverns, don't we?
Exactly. And maybe that does show it off, but, you know, it was that had more of a story in my head than that.
And there's a bit more going on there, but you could argue that's a bit more minimal and it's a bit more easier to engage with that. And sometimes, you know, people sometimes maybe need a path to lead their eye down or something like that. But I think these two, again, are really quite nice. And you've gone for black and white a couple of times as well. So why was that?
It was literally just because of the lighting, the colouring. Everything was pretty dark, pretty dull anyway. So I wanted to have a couple that were, in my eyes, I quite like a moody black and white photo. So I had to put it in my editing somewhere.
So what, you quite like the contrast and the...
Yeah, I think when there's not much colour anyway, it's not like I'm getting rid of this gorgeous orange sky, because there wasn't one.
Yeah.
So it's not really changed. I mean, look at the difference.
Yeah.
A slight blue and a.
Yeah. So you chose your three then. Let me talk through mine.
Yeah.
So on the first day, I did actually choose, this was the first photo I shot. Now I did actually edit this, as you can tell, quite a lot. I did actually drag a grad filter down, oversaturate the top half of the camera, of the camera. And then at the bottom, what I did is I coloured in with a spot tool, the rock. Now these are maybe advanced techniques that you maybe feel disadvantaged on, but at the end of the day, a photo's a photo.
Yeah.
And you can manipulate it how you want. And sometimes you can overcook a photo.
I absolutely agree. I have got nothing wrong with adding saturation and all that kind of stuff. I think if someone wants that on their wall, they want it to look like that. Do you know what I mean? They won't want it to look like the way it looked when you took it.
Maybe.
That, I think, and that's another artistic form of editing, I guess.
It's about creating a style,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Absolutely.
And what I liked about this shot, again, it probably doesn't come across on the collage because the photo obviously splits into 3, so it's even smaller. So in the midground of this shot, you can actually see Great Malvern in the fog, which I quite liked at the time. Got the sun in the background and this rock in the foreground, which I painted with some texture over the front, so I quite like that. This was a little bit Simba and Nala-esque, and a little bit
Circle of Life.
A little bit Circle of Life and Lion King-y. Obviously, it didn't look like this, and I dragged down another grad filter and made the sky look a lot more peachy orangey than it did. But that's art. You know, that you're not. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you're not allowed to do that, because you are.
And I think as long as you're not affecting, like, you know, when you oversaturate things, sometimes you get those funny lines.
Yeah.
I think as long as that's not happening to your photo, then...
As long as you're not compromising the quality.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can do what you want. And then this is the one that I didn't choose. I was thinking about choosing it at the time, but I didn't. This is the standard tree in the mist. I wish, in hindsight, I'd have walked closer to isolate the tree, because we can see branches from the right and we can see the foreground's a bit messy. So maybe I could have chosen that, but that just didn't grab me, that one at the time. Moving on to the second day. Now this, we got a similar shot of this. Now this is one of my presets that I've got on my computer, which I've been using since the summer.
I do like that.
Which, like some sort of hipster that I think I am, I've called it Summer Vibes. And so I put that preset on it and I thought, I'm not going to touch that again. I really like that. Now this is a photograph that I take, you take, we take every time we walk past this, because it's one of the first vistas from British camp that just sort of hits you right in the face. You walk behind a couple of trees, then you see the plains of Worcestershire, and you've got the reservoir in front of you. And sometimes when you get a nice sky, it does look quite welcoming. But the one I settled for was this, and you might have seen this in the vlog, where I was just behind this path and I was procrastinating which one to choose, and I was nearly losing the light. I was going to choose this, but for me it had an unbalanced look to it. There's the path leads you straight out the frame, which is compositionally bad. It feels like a bit of a tug of war between the actual hill and the sun, and it's just not centered enough. So I went for the vertical shot, which has got the path that leads you to the hill, and I managed to, I compromised by getting rid of the sun, which is what I wanted, but I used the path and a straight line. But I did increase a grad filter, and I sort of upped the white balance, made that a little bit more yellow, and which is why it looks like, well, I mean, there was a light coming in from that way anyway.
And I think that's why I'm glad we both had the same lens, because I think if you'd been able to use whatever lens you wanted, sometimes you have to compromise with one lens.
Yeah.
And I think I like that added challenge.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you might have got a better shot with a different lens, but...
You've got to zoom with your legs, haven't you? So, I mean, this
Absolutely.
moves on to the last day. And this is one shot I took at around about 2.8, f4, something like that. I just focused quite tightly on this tree to the right. Then we've got North Hill in the background. It looks all right. In hindsight, I wish I'd have taken it at f11, so everything was sharp, but I was handheld, so I would have risked getting a bit of camera blur, so a bit of motion blur, so might not looked as sharp. And I do really like the isolated feel, which is what you get when you stop the camera down to a really shallow depth of field. Another one, which is a fan favourite of the Malverns, is just elevating the camera slightly, looking down at the summit cairn. Then you've got the rest of the Malverns in the distance, again, which is one I like. Another one, which is the other side, looking back at the spine of the hills. I managed to get a cyclist, a mountain biker, about to embark on well, if your imagination runs away with you, running the whole 10 miles of the Malverns, which I quite like. Again, it adds a little bit more of that recreational look. But the one I chose, and this was probably one of my favourites that I've taken for a long time, actually. Someone had planted, and we fell out about this, is a red rose.
It's a tulip.
It's not a tulip. I said at the time it was a tulip, but it's a rose. I did actually
is
look.
it a rose that's not been opened up yet then?
I think so, yeah. And it just looked kind of sombre to me, and it looked like it was placed there for some sort of remembrance, or I don't know. And
I like that it's the most colourful thing.
exactly.
Reminds me of like Schindler's List.
Well, that's what I was kind of going for. I like the idea. I don't like the idea, but someone may have been up there to, I don't know, scatter ashes, or it could have been someone's favourite place. I mean, I'm just speculating on what the story could be, and that's the beauty with photography. You can make your own conclusions to the story of what's been given to you. But we can see this, the old summit trig, which is the true summit. We've got the Queen Victoria, whatever it is, the actual summit beacon in the distance, and then we've got the hills again in the distance. And I've focused really shallowly on the rose to really isolate it. I did actually colour it in, even and accentuate the red of the rose.
It did look that red in person though.
Partly,
I think,
because it popped
yeah,
against the blue background.
it's just hard to get it in a photo.
I don't think this shot would look so good on a summer sunset, you know, like with a crazy orange sky.
It needs that to stand out.
Yeah, I think that does look quite nice. So now on to the what we chose as our collages. So Laura, this was your collage.
Yeah.
They look really nice together. You've obviously, why did you go for that one in the middle? Because it was day 2, or because it was the sun right in the middle?
I'll be honest, it worked out well for me because that is the order I took them.
Yeah.
However, I would have put that in the middle anyway because I wanted the brightness to be in the middle.
Yep, I think that really works, doesn't it? And the I really like this photo at the top. I wonder if anybody watching this video or who'd seen the poll run live thought, hang on, this might be mine. Because I'm at the Malverns a lot and I love foggy conditions, like as much as the next photographer. And this is a photo I would have taken.
Right.
So I wonder if anybody would have thought that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But kudos, because I think that is a really, really nice photograph. Well composed. You've got that tree in the foreground, and the fog is sweeping nicely over the beacon, and you've got it's got a nice little hat on the top. So the second image I think is really strong as well. I think a lot of people will have an emotional connection to that straight away.
Yeah. For me, I like those sort of intimate,
Scenes.
sort of silhouette-y scenes.
And then the bottom one, again, is that sort of isolated composition of that bench.
The lonely bench.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been perfect if...
You love a lonely tree.
I love a lonely tree, you love a lonely bench. I wonder if someone sitting on that might have told her.
Yeah, again. But my story was of it being deserted in my head. So.
Yeah, fair enough, like a barren landscape almost. Yeah. Dystopian or something. No, not dystopian, like, you know, post-apocalyptic or something
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
Literally lockdown 1.0.
Yeah. So I think that works really nicely. And then mine was a slightly different shape. I went for 2 portrait compositions at the top, and then the landscape one, which I mentioned at the bottom.
But I wonder how many people... Okay, during the votes,
Yeah.
I wonder how many people were attracted to the colour rather than the image.
See, this is my shrewdness, I think, as a photographer, because I know from just years of just producing landscape photographs and travel photographs, people like colour. People like warm tones. People like bold tones, I think. And especially sunrise and sunset, those are there in abundance.
Which totally understandable, like, I get it.
Yeah, I do as well. And especially with the Instagram generation, with a bleeding sunset, you know, cutting in from off camera, it's gone through the roof. People, if you type in your favourite location, you'll see that times 100, 1 million even. You'll see so many photographs with, you know, oversaturated colours, or at least more higher saturated than there was in the day. Because that's photography. That's what we have to do in 2020. You know, if we want to grab people's attention, we need to think about what people like. So that was my thinking.
Yeah.
I was thinking, if I want to win this competition, I need to grab people's attention. So that's why I went with the 2 brightest colours at the top,
or the warmest colours at the top, and the bottom sat quite nicely was the colder, more sadder image. So I feel like there's a little bit of a journey there through my images. So, shall we reveal the results?
Yes.
Okay, so the results were, little drum roll,
Do the percentages.
one set A, which was Laura's, and set B. One set scored 59% of the vote, and one set scored 41% of the vote. Is that correct?
So it was close.
It was close, and there was only 19 votes in it. So that was actually a lot closer than we maybe thought, I think. But the winner was set B. It was me, and I actually feel quite bad about it. I know I was going on about it
Are
earlier.
you trying to say that you thought you'd do a lot better than me?
I thought I'd walk it. I did think I'd walk it, but then I saw some of your photos on the back of your camera and when you're editing and thought, this girl's pretty good. You've got a bit of a chance here.
I really want to know, and I'd love, if anyone voted and is watching this, can you please be honest and say if you knew it was my photos or if you didn't even think I had anything to do with it. I'd love to know how many people thought I was the other photographer.
Okay.
During the votes.
Yeah, because we didn't actually say who the other photographer was. It just said one of them was me. So maybe they thought it was, I don't know, Ansel Adams or something. I don't know.
I really want to do more of these.
Yeah,
I loved it.
So that concludes today's video. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. If you've made it this far, thanks for hanging in there, and let us know if you would like us to make more content like this, because I think we've both enjoyed it.
I've absolutely loved it. Like, I really want to do more of this stuff.
Yeah, and like I sort of touched on at the start of this, it's a learning process, and we'll learn from each other constantly.
Yeah.
And I don't think you ever do stop learning. So
I mean, I know that I'm still learning 100%, but to do challenges like this, it makes me think slightly differently, or it puts the pressure on. So I think you learn in a different way.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, thanks for watching. And if you want to check out more content, then check out some of my older videos. I think you might like them. If you've made it this far, there's a chance you might like them.
I like them, so...
Well, she has to say that. But I will leave it there. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next video, whatever that may be. Cheers. Here's to being a winner.
Rematch.
Oh.